All right, welcome everyone. It is you have entered the Trill zone. It is Trill crime, man. Little special show, of course. Bobby Two Trill. He's just Bobby now. Me and Kelly are the only Trill ones here. Otis
I'm
B. Trill,
untrillable.
Kelly Two Trill. Welcome, Ruby. Ruby is here. Yes, this is a little special day. The other day, we had the chance to speak with Shelly Applehans, I believe, or Applehans, I believe, because I was going to call Apple Hans, like Hans Gretel or something.
Yeah,
And
I don't know.
but Apple Hands and one of Cheryl Coker's best friends, and we wanted to get a little insight on who Cheryl, was her maybe her the dynamic within her marriage, and I thought it was a great show. We'll talk for a few minutes here, give some people time to get here. What did you guys think about that? That little talk we had, because it got a little emotional. I felt really bad for Shelly there towards the end. Speaking about it, she got a little emotional. Who wants to go
She's a
first?
she's a great friend to Cheryl, no doubt. You could tell it comes through to this day.
Mm-hmm.
She really wants justice, just like we all do. Those emotions are real. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah, she was a very sweet lady. Kelly, what did you take away from that talk?
The same thing. I mean, you can tell she has a lot of love for Cheryl, and I appreciate that she took the time to make herself vulnerable because it's very courageous to come out and speak to us about something that is a difficult subject. None of us want to get emotional in front of people. And it was just amazing to see how much she cared and her willingness, like she explained in the interview. She's not usually someone to come out and speak in front of people, and she's willing to do it for her friend. And I think that's awesome. I think it's
It,
amazing.
it,
And
it's
she
yeah.
had a lot of good
Yeah.
insight. I really appreciate every bit of what she had to say.
Facebook user, sorry, I don't see your name, but we have a local listener. I live 4 houses from the
Wow.
Coca residence. That's right, Cheryl Strong. We're gonna do everything uh that we can to get this back in the public light. I mean, I think it's quite disgusting. And I mentioned it to Shelly. I think it's quite disgusting. The only time you hear anything about this case is on an anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
on the day of the murders. If you go to YouTube and you look up, Cheryl Coker updates or anything like that, the last video you will see is of a local news broadcast from October 2nd of this year. And then you won't hear anything. This on so many levels is, well, wrong. For one, me and Bobby and a lot of other people, live here, close in close proximity to where this all took place. And when you have somebody, I think all fingers are pointing at Bill. And before I forget, I hope this reaches his ears, because Bill, I'm gonna look right in the camera. Bill, it's me, Otis. I invite you to come on the show and tell your side of the story. A lot of fingers are being pointed at you, and I know if this was me having all them fingers pointed at me, oh, there's one right there. I'm going to come out and I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to take and I'm going to put my trilth out there and try and clear my name in the public perception. We're giving you a platform, Bill. We're giving you a platform to tell us your side of the story, to plead your case, because whether you like it or not, everybody's pointing the finger at you. Everybody is pointing the finger at you. Plead your case and we'll give you a platform. So I hope that this takes and reaches his ears. Ruby, you're unfamiliar with the case. This is a local case. We can give a brief
Yeah.
rundown real quick, catch people up to speed. Cheryl Coker, married to Bill Coker. Some unnecessary details, but they met at a local plant here, Delphi. And they hit it off at first, very opposite personalities. Anyway, long story short, their marriage was, well, a little unorthodox, I guess. That's what I call. I could never imagine myself being a swinger or being involved in that lifestyle. That's just not me. I'm not shitting on anybody who does. It's just not me.
And I'd like to preface that, if you don't mind, by saying
Sure.
that those of us or that are in the chat that maybe haven't heard of Cheryl Coker, I want to point out that I believe a lot of that notion to put herself in that lifestyle was a last ditch effort to save her relationship. I don't think that was something she
Absolutely.
necessarily enjoyed or she
Oh,
was
yeah.
necessarily looking for. I feel like that was something she put herself into to try to save her marriage and preserve her family, which
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we don't agree with. But I mean,
Yeah, which is odd that you would have to go to such lengths to,
yeah.
preserve the marriage.
Right. Agreed.
So yeah, her, and the rules were, okay, you can have these intimate relationships with, other people, but do not fall in love. Okay, we are married, but if this is what is going to, as you mentioned, maybe help build our own marriage by sleeping with other people, it's like fucking for virginity. I don't know. It just seems counterproductive to me. But hey, if it works, it works, I guess. So at any rate, Bill was falling in love with one particular person. Cheryl threatened, like, look, man, you're gonna drop this girl. Was her body found when they were looking for another person in a rural area? I haven't heard that. Have you guys heard that? No,
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 it
it
was.
no,
I
was
you
think it
may
was
be
stumbled
thinking of
upon by
another
accident.
case. That almost sounds like the Gilgo Beach.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been watching a
Um,
bit of that too.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot
Yeah,
we
listen,
need to
Powerhouse.
catch up
apparently
on.
a mushroom hunter that happened to go, from what I understand, I think he was just
Yeah.
going back to pee when he was mushroom hunting. It's such an odd term to me, mushroom hunting.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
But he stumbled upon her then, and there's actually a 911 call you can listen to where he's saying he found bones. And then he realized that the bones had clothes on them, and that's what prompted him to call 911.
and that happened, like, wasn't it? I feel so horrible for this, but wasn't it like 2 years later that they
18
found the
months.
bones?
A little over a
Yeah,
year
18
and a
months.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the most obvious case to the people in the chat. It's the most obvious case of whodunit you ever seen in your life, and the guy's still out there. That's what
It
it is
really is. When you look at
to me.
Delphi, yeah. Oh, well, I mean, to all of us, really. You're not alone in that.
Well,
B2 Trill. Uh, don't be too true. No, it really is. And when you look at Delphi and you have someone like Richard Allen, who they have virtually nothing on, and then you look at this particular case where all fingers point, they have video surveillance of a man who you'll hear in just a few minutes, Shelly state, look, I know how this guy walks. Everybody that has seen this guy walks, and you look at that video, it's him.
the guy
I mean,
has
strictly
like
because of the walk. Some people have
yeah,
distinctive walks in the way they carry themselves. It's him. And this is a person in Shelly who knew them too. Um, very he is the only suspect to this day, the only suspect, and this happened in 2018. that she went missing, and then her body, as you mentioned, was 18 months. You said 18 months later, her body, her remains were found. They were just strictly some, some bones, not even a full skeleton, and some clothes that were out. As you also mentioned, a guy going out mushroom hunting, and stumbled upon some bones. And this guy is still walking around in our neck of the woods. Who knows how many times me and Bobby Trill have passed this guy. He works 25 minutes up the road in the area that I used to do home improvement all the time. I've been into that Costco that he works at. I didn't know,
with his mistress still.
Yes, and his
Yeah.
daughters. I believe his daughters work. It's really strange.
He's got
Go ahead,
several
Bob.
motives, 2 or 3 motives that they could
The
go off
biggest
of.
one being financial.
Yeah. Financial. He was, he was looking at paying out. She had filed for divorce 11 days before her disappearance. She had texted a friend that, I'll be in at work tomorrow if I'm not dead. He tried to run over her with a car. There's a video of the person dropping off her car after she was put out into the woods, walking from the parking lot all the way back to this dude's house.
Where he said he was
very
the entire
obvious.
time. He said that entire morning he was home. So it just makes sense that it would be him there.
He didn't talk to her face to face. He just kind of talked to her through the shower. She was taking a shower. He went to sleep. She left.
I think the most bothersome part about watching some of the old newscasts too is hearing the sheriff's department, after they found her remains, saying there's only one suspect and now we can move forward because we have the missing link, which was the body. And it's like, you have the missing link and now it's been a couple years and you've still done nothing. I just can't imagine why. And that bothers me. Like, I was rewatching some of it again this morning, just listening to, well, now we're going to be able to move forward right as they found those remains, but they never did. And I just can't wrap my head around that.
And those are some of the questions that we want to get answered. This is going to be so I hope that gives you, Ruby, a little bit of an insight on, what we're talking about here. There is it called That Channel, the turd guy?
Yeah.
That channel. And I say that because he's like Scottish or something, so he doesn't do the whole, third. It comes out turd. And it's just funny to me. But he's got a great channel. He's got a great channel. I really enjoy watching him. And you can see he does a 25-minute piece or whatnot on this case, a good little rundown. And with that, we're going to go sit back and I'm going to play this. This happened, let's see, Monday evening. We talked with Shelly. So, hey, with that, enjoy. We'll be back. All right. We are very excited to talk with a friend of Cheryl Coker. We've spoken about this case on the podcast before, and we're very fortunate to have Shelly. And I can't pronounce. How do you pronounce your last name?
Applehans.
Applehans. Okay. I wasn't sure it was Applehans, Applehans. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said I answer to anything, so you're good.
Me too. I've been called a lot worse. So we're this is a case that we thought should really be open and shut. I think a lot of people in this area, you are not in our immediate area, although you used to be. You are out of state now, but I'm sure this is still something that you think about on a daily. I wanted to we all wanted to know a little bit about Cheryl, so I'm going to shut up and let you just talk about Cheryl. How was she as as a friend, as a person. I'd like to know, if you do know, the dynamic, between her and Bill, because he seems to be the perfect suspect. And
Right.
so we're just curious about all things Cheryl. I'm gonna give you the floor, dear.
Well, Cheryl, she was bubbly. When we met at Delphi, she made work fun. And, she had Marissa at the time. Marissa was 3 years old when we met. Great mom. I looked up to her. She was a single mom. She made sure she worked. She did overtime, whatever she needed to do to support her daughter. And then we also were good friends with Christy at Delphi. That is Bill's sister.
Okay.
Christy is the one that introduced Cheryl to Bill, her brother. So that's how Bill and Cheryl got together. And, we had a good friend group there at Delphi. We had a lot of fun. Like I said, Cheryl was the life of the party. She was always loved to laugh, loved her daughter, loved her mom, loved her family. She has a great. They were so close. I always said, Cheryl, I want to be with your family. You guys need to adopt me.
Right.
Her family, like I said, they all just love to laugh, and they were all very close. But like I said, she was just bubbly and fun, and became lifelong friends. And
And it's so sad that because I've seen as well. Is that you, Kelly? Do I hear myself through you? Anyway, so
Headphones. And do you want me to go ahead and mute? I apologize. I'm not.
oh, no
right
worries.
now.
Yeah, I know they were charging earlier. Not a problem. Yeah, and it is so tragic that because I see she also had a grandbaby as well,
she
right?
did. Marissa had a daughter, and Kaylin was Cheryl's everything. She loved that little girl to pieces. And then when Marissa was in the military, you know, Cheryl made sure she got grandparent visits. Every other weekend she saw her grandbaby.
That's awesome. I'm a grandfather as well. I got a little grandson, so I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
That closeness. That's a bond different. That's a very different bond. So then you knew Bill before you met Cheryl. Then is that right?
No,
Is that how? No, you met Cheryl and then you met Bill there because he also
through his
worked
sister.
Delphi, right?
Bill did not work at
Oh, Bill
Delphi.
did not.
Bill's
Okay.
sister did. And
Ah,
then,
gotcha.
we were all good friends, and Bill's sister introduced Bill and Cheryl together, to set them up on a date, and then they started dating. I think they started dating like in February and then of 99. And then that year in July, they went off to Gatlinburg and got married.
And may I ask, are you still friends with Bill's sister by any chance?
We have not spoken.
Okay.
Since, we have. We've talked probably like maybe a couple months after Cheryl went missing.
Okay.
But, we obviously have differences on, who murdered Cheryl. Of course, you can't blame her for taking her brother's side, but yet, like I've said, Cheryl's was in their family for 19 years.
Yes.
In my opinion, things are out there that would make her question. I would think,
Yeah.
and so like it's just, yeah.
It blows my mind because it's obvious. It's so obvious. My mom, she used to go to East Town Bingo down in Riverside. And I remember after this happened, she had got caught up in this big time, and she was very outspoken about it to even the people down there at East Town Bingo and Riverside and things. And, she would say that, it's so obvious,
Right. You would think, and the things that I know as well, and the things leading up to it, what Cheryl had told me, it was, and then just, yeah, like you said, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
Living around here, I have, and you talk to people about this, and I have many times, and they all say the same thing. They say, I just don't understand why there hasn't been an arrest here. especially when the police come out and the detectives and say, "Hey, look, this is the suspect," and that
Right.
was years ago.
Yeah.
It
The
blows
one
my
and
mind.
only, yeah, the one and only
The one
suspect
and
that
only.
they had.
Yes. And
Yeah.
like, everybody, I get it. The proof and facts, and just the things a friend sees their best friend go through in a marriage. Before that, and the things that he had told Cheryl beforehand, and knowing he had a girlfriend. And 11 days after she files for divorce, she's murdered.
Yeah.
And then he never looked for her. And when it came to the funeral, he promised that he would help pay for it. He never sent one red cent.
Hmm.
It's just he's living his life like he wants with his now fiance.
That's actually what I was going to ask, if they are still together.
Oh
I
yeah,
assume they are.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they were together. She moved in like maybe a month or two after Cheryl was murdered.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And he started selling Cheryl's belongings 4 months after Cheryl was murdered. But at that time, she was missing.
Missing, right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like I said, as a friend seeing all of this and knowing what Cheryl had told me before she was murdered, it's obvious, but I know that, prosecutors and the detectives want, the facts and the proof and everything else.
Well, yeah, and I've watched some of the news clippings where they talk to the detectives on the case, and I understand that, yes, in the beginning they couldn't really bring anybody in. They couldn't bring him in while she was still missing, because
I think
they
did.
didn't have a body, and then they get a body, and then that's pretty much okay. Great. We have surveillance. We have found her remains. Now, why? I mean, what is your thoughts on that? Because we're all scratching our head like, why is this guy, still out there living his best life with his new
Right.
wife and everyone, while Cheryl's family is asking questions and wondering why and who. I mean, we all, I think, have a good idea, but
Right.
why did this happen?
But
What's going to happen?
they did talk to him, and he was cooperating with
Mhm.
detectives. But the thing was, I believe the detectives believed him, which
Mm.
to me is very sad. You look at these
Yeah.
cases where the wives file for divorce and then they get missing. I mean, most cases it's the husband,
Yeah.
but at that time, and then what bothered me also was when it took them over 2 weeks to search the house.
Oh wow, I wasn't aware of that.
Yes. And well, and then also they would say, if you have any tips or anything, on the news, as soon as Cheryl went missing, I called the detectives at least, I think, 3 times before they even called me back.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that I hold the key to anything, but,
Right.
I'm her best friend.
Sure.
I know the things that she had told me. And, like when they searched the house, they took Bill over to Cheryl's mom's house. And I remember Cheryl's mom telling me, all he did was talk so bad about Cheryl, how she was seeing all these guys, and it was just pointing fingers at Cheryl, like he has never done anything wrong. He doesn't have a girlfriend. That's
Right.
how he just acting like he was perfect and all of
And
that.
that's part of why we wanted to have you on here, to give her a voice as well, because she can't give herself a voice at this point.
No.
And from what we've researched and what we've seen and what we've listened to, it definitely sounds like the way he's portraying her is not the person she was. It sounds like she was an amazing mom and she was a good person, and she tried to make her marriage work. So we want to give her that voice here and that platform to know that there's another side to what he's saying.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
because I got the same impression that, oh yeah, she was into some some bad
Risky
stuff,
behavior.
weird
Yeah.
behavior. That's it. She was into some weird
Yes.
behavior, and I'm thinking, well, from what I've read, you were too. I mean,
Right.
you were not sitting pretty here. I don't understand. I
Yeah.
mean, and that to me almost has a narcissistic sound to it, if I
Well,
may
yeah.
go out on a limb.
And the affidavit that is put out, you know, it was just so disgusting to me of just about the whole, you know, him and his girlfriend would come home and Cheryl would be there in a hot tub with several men, or there was a different guy there every time. It was just very disturbing to
And
me.
from what I've heard, it doesn't strike me that she would be the type of mother to do that in front of her child either.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's sad to hear.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
she had a job to make sure that she was home every day and to take Michaela to everything that she needed to go to, sports, anything, that she was there. She worked around her kids' lives.
No, is it true that Bill did try to hit her with the car after
Or
being
run
angered
her off
over?
the road or
She
something.
told me
Okay.
that she told Bill she wanted a divorce, and he did not want a divorce. He was
Okay.
adamant to, he said, let's get a divorce after Michaela was then 15, their youngest daughter.
Mhm.
Wait until she turned 18. And she said no. He said, you know, she said, you have Aaron. I'm not going to stick around if you're not going to break things off with her.
Right.
And he said, well, let me just pretend that I love you, you know, until Michaela turned 18.
Wow.
She said no. She told me no. They got in an argument. Marissa, the oldest daughter, and Cheryl had to go someplace, and Bill had to go to a different place. They were all leaving around the same time. And I did not ask Cheryl where this happened or how fast they were going. But I do know that she told me that he did try to run her off the road.
Wow. I mean, that speaks. I think when you're the main suspect in
Yeah.
the, you know, somebody, you know, the death of somebody or the homicide, when you're the main suspect, and that doesn't work well in your favor when you have that in your background, when you tried previously to
Right.
run the person
Yeah.
who is now deceased off the road.
He's a master manipulator. You know, he's
I kind of get that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I haven't even really heard him talk a whole lot.
He does not talk a lot. Like, you know, he was always friendly to me. You know, we spoke, my husband and him, along great. But he was not a man of many words. And
Wow.
I mean, when he
What a clash of personalities between
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cheryl and him.
Yeah, I mean, we always thought that Cheryl can do so much better because she had a personality that goes on for days. And then here, like I would say, you know, a wall would have more personality than he does.
Mm.
And I'm not trying, I've always said that, you know,
Mhm.
even before Cheryl was murdered. You know, I just never understood those
She's
two
very
things.
beautiful too. So I mean
Yeah.
that stood out
Yes.
when you see her pictures. Yeah.
Yes, very beautiful. Yeah, I mean, she was my beautiful friend. She was my person.
That's and how long so this was back in, we said 99 ish when they got married, so it
When
was
they
just a
met,
little
got
bit
married.
before that you had met Cheryl then, right?
We met, I think it was in 97.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to guess you. I mean, you've known her for quite some time. I
Yeah.
mean, this isn't, you know, someone you've just known for like 6 months, you know.
Oh, no. I said, and I was in the room when Michaela was born. You know, her and I
Oh
were
wow.
together. You know, we both planned on getting pregnant together, you know, like having babies. And
Mhm.
she was, Michaela's 3 weeks older than my son. So
Oh.
when we were pregnant, you know, we were on maternity leave from Delphi, and her and I would hang out every day, you know, while our husbands were at work, and we would eat Church's chicken or Bob Evans Cobb salad with an extra boiled egg, you know.
Oh.
But yeah.
That's wow. One
I have to
thing also,
wonder.
go ahead, Bobby.
Say, I have to wonder how the kids feel about all this.
That's actually what I was going to ask as well, if you still have contact with her children and how they're doing.
Marissa and I, like, just through Facebook. Marissa now lives out of state. She no longer lives in Ohio. Michaela, I spoke with her last December at Mary's funeral. Unfortunately, Mary, Cheryl's mom, passed away.
Oh.
But when I was there, somebody said that somebody had told them, well, she's not going to be around to see Cheryl get justice. But that person said, no, she knows now. Mary knows. Her and Cheryl are up there talking. But I did talk to Michaela. She does not talk to anybody about her mom. I don't believe she talks to the detectives about her, about what she knows. Yeah. I'm afraid that her father that manipulated her mom is now manipulating her. She didn't talk to her family about this, or her side, her opinion, nothing. And to me, it's really sad.
That is really sad, because that and even as horrible of a circumstances it is that took her life, and having her dad possibly involved in this.
She doesn't want to lose both parents.
Understandably.
That
and
is,
a part of me thinks that maybe that's why the police might not be pursuing it that much, because maybe they feel the same way. Like, look, he did what he did, but he's got kids. I wouldn't feel that way.
I feel like Michaela holds the key to the case. Michaela was on that trip. The weekend before Cheryl was murdered. Right. She knows how her dad and Aaron acted. She knows how her dad and Aaron acted after Cheryl was murdered. She was there. That day that Cheryl was murdered, he picked Michaela up to take her to physical therapy.
Right.
He played soccer and she had hurt her knee. And so she was doing physical therapy on her knee. But to me, like I said, Michaela and I both talked, like, if the same thing happened to her or I, we both said her mom would have been on the highest mountain screaming to make sure that we got justice.
For sure.
Absolutely.
She knows that, but yet nothing has happened. And
that's a tough situation for someone that young to be in too, I'm sure. It's a lot to take in, and I'm sure it's overwhelming. I can't imagine.
I mean, I feel bad for her. I mean, because I think once things come out, or I don't know if she's blocking things, and then if something comes to her that she'll remember, I do feel for her, but I also feel like she needs to help get her mom justice as well. If she doesn't think it was her dad, then who does she think it was? He needs to talk about it.
Sure.
And tell somebody. So
trauma, something like that. We were all us three, me, Bobby, and Kelly, after the podcast we did earlier, we were talking about the effects of trauma and things of that nature, and your mind can just block things out. But also talking about it, even in intimate conversations, not jumping on podcasts or doing this or just talking about these things can take and help in the healing process, and also, as you mentioned, may shed new light on who actually did this.
Right.
We can all say it's this person, but until I guess that final piece of evidence that the prosecution's waiting for comes to light, I guess it's, up in the air. But I think we're all on the same page where, it's not looking too good there, Billy boy. Everything kind of points to you, and what a shame. I mean,
Well, and I
And
love the fact that on your last podcast that you spoke about, he admitted that he was there at the home. The same time that her Fitbit went to 0.
Yes.
mhm.
You know, him walking back to the house. It was his walk. I mean, you ask her family members. Ask his family members.
Mhm.
I noticed that's his walk. So I don't know what they're waiting on.
Yeah,
Well, I got
I watched a little short documentary. I cannot think of the name of the podcast. It was the one that we had watched Bobby before with. Was he Scottish or
yeah, I can't
something?
remember who
Yeah,
it was.
I can't remember his name, but
I can't either.
I was watching that earlier and I was paying close attention to his to his walk. Is this the same walk as the guy in the
Mhm.
video? And just from what I could see, which you don't really have a whole lot to compare, the walk was similar.
No, I mean, and like we talked about, like with his personality, a man with a personality like his, he does not walk with like his head held high with a bunch of confidence.
Right.
His hips low, looking down, and it's just the same walk that he has. But that's just my opinion.
And I believe it might have been you that mentioned that for holidays he tended to hop that fence behind their house quite a bit. Okay, I thought
Well,
that.
it was Barb that said it, but I
Okay.
did as well. I was there, once before, and I knew that he jumped that fence because there was a chain link fence,
The chain link
and
on the
then there's
outside and then the privacy. Yeah.
yeah. He would hop there and he would set off fireworks in the school parking lot
Mhm.
behind their house.
And may I ask, is Michaela still living with her dad currently? Do you know?
She is. It's.
Okay.
I mean,
So that probably makes things difficult as well.
They all
I
work.
think I would be fearful.
Yeah. I mean, they all work together at Costco.
Okay.
Even the girlfriends or the fiancés, Aaron's daughters,
Mhm.
all work at Costco. And then Bill's son, one of the twins, works at Costco, and they all live together.
Hmm.
I mean,
And it's also true that Bill had previous domestic violence against the twins' father. I mean, the twins' mother as well.
That's what we're hearing. Yes.
And
I
so
mean,
you would think that would be a red flag, but
Right.
I know. And the thing is, like, I did not know about this until after, and I don't know if Cheryl even knew about putting her in the hospital. So, or like the girlfriend, not the girlfriend, the mother of his sons was in the hospital. But I know, like, the boys did not have the same last name. They don't have the Coker last name.
Oh wow.
He did not pay child support. Only just, whenever the boys needed something.
Wow.
And that speaks to his character as well.
It does.
For
yeah.
father.
For people not to tell him what to do. And Cheryl was adamant about getting child support and then getting alimony as well. And like I said, he's money driven, and he was not going to let that happen.
Wow.
So heartbreaking that finances would be more important than someone's life, especially someone that sounds
evil, and yeah.
Bobby, did you we got about 5 minutes. Shelly has some prior engagements. Did you have anything that you wanted to ask either you or Kelly?
More or less just a statement. I'm disappointed in the Riverside investigators and the Montgomery County investigators. I was telling Kurt before, a little bit earlier, that in every case that I've ever seen or that we've ever looked at, I always leave like 5% out there, just in case it's not what I think. I've never been more 100% about anything. I think if they put a jury together on this, don't see any problem with getting a conviction. And even if they don't, then you're still in the same place that you are right now.
Right.
Give it a try, try to get some justice.
Yeah, let 12 people decide. And if nothing has happened, what is it? 40% of all murder cases get solved.
Yeah.
But you put something like this out there. His behavior before. Pointing fingers at Cheryl. trying to run her off the road. But like I said, that probably wouldn't hold up because it would just be hearsay what she told me.
Sure.
But circumstantial evidence has solved cases before.
The fifth, he admits that he was home.
Mhm.
The year to the date that she was murdered, he got the Costco insurance. October 2nd, 2017. She was murdered October 2nd, 2018. And
That
then
is so crazy.
was it in December of the following year, 2019, he raised the insurance up to $100,000 more. So,
Wow.
he was able to cash in $372,000.
There's
clear motive.
multiple motives here, and that's what they always say. It's about motive, and you literally got motive here.
Absolutely.
I don't get it. I wish that Cheryl would get some justice. I've been wanting it ever since I heard about this, and she never left my mind.
And it's sad that I mentioned it earlier. The only time we hear anything Cheryl Coker here locally, which you probably I don't know if you were out here. Were you out here still after her death?
No, I was here in Kansas.
You were already out. Yeah. The only time you ever hear anything is on an anniversary day.
Right. Yeah. I'll see
once
it.
a year.
People send it to me and everything, but no, I was in Kansas, like I said, when she was murdered, and when I talked to the detective told me, well, Bill thought that she came out to Kansas to see you. That's where Bill thought she was. And I said, well, he knows how to get a hold of me. How come he has never called me to find out? The way that I found out was Marissa, the oldest daughter, she called me about 3:00 the following morning. And at that time, our cell phone service was not great because I live in rural Kansas. And she called me on that Facebook Messenger. And at that time, I had no idea what that was or how it worked. And I seen I missed a call from Marissa. But then that next morning, I saw her post about, if anybody has seen her mom. And so that's when I got in contact.
And that would not be typical behavior for her anyway, from what I understand, correct?
Yeah.
So just leave her child without any kind of warning.
There's a time when he had a girlfriend. It was probably 2006 because my daughter was born. And then he had a girlfriend, and she had found a burner phone in his truck. No, in her car, her old car that he drove. And so she had to get away. And by that time, we were living in Indiana. And so she got away, but she brought both of her daughters, and her mom knew where she was because she did not leave those girls for anything.
Yeah, that's the key point. Her children were with her at that
all
time.
the time. I mean, hands-on mom, that is Cheryl. A mom that would go out of her way to do anything for her kids. Just a great mom. So her kids came first. So she lived her life around her kids. So, I knew when nobody had heard from her, something was terribly wrong.
Yeah, and we hear that as a preface on a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of different cases. Oh, she was so, routine. She was there when she didn't show up for work. We knew something was wrong when Cheryl didn't answer her phone, which I heard also because, at the time her mom was sick or just in ill health, and she wanted to keep in contact, always needed to have contact with her daughters, and now, her granddaughter and just family. So it was very out of characteristic for her not to have that line of communication.
Right. That's what I knew. The second day, I just told my husband, I said, she's gone. She would never.
So heartbreaking.
She just way too close, her kids and, her mom and her grandbaby. This was not her. Wow. Something bad has happened to her. And I knew, I had my feeling, my opinion, her filing for divorce, trying to run her off the road, him not wanting the divorce, waiting until Michaela was 18, and just the lies that he had told the police, you know, when, like I said, when he never contacted me, you know, they
Right.
came out and visit us like the year before. You know, like I said, it wasn't like just, we weren't just casual friends. You know, Cheryl and I were best friends. And, you know, he knew that she told me everything because there was a time where when they did come out to Kansas, she would tell me, please don't say anything to Bill because he knows I tell you everything. I just want this to be a fun trip because she would always get the repercussion, you know, if anybody was to call him out on
Right.
And
anything.
that shows fearfulness. Just making
Yeah.
that
It
statement
does.
alone shows a sense of fear from
Well,
your
she always
spouse.
walked on eggshells to make sure that Bill stayed happy. You know, and this time when they came, before they came out to Kansas, that he had bought her the Fitbit because he felt like she had gained weight. He told her that she repulsed him by the way that she looked and that she needed to lose weight. So she lost a lot of weight. And so I was gonna, as a friend, that something you should never say to your wife. And to hear that, and so when they were coming out, that's when she made the remark, hey, Bill thinks you hate him because he knows that I told you about what he said to me as far as losing weight.
Wow.
Yeah, what a great guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
what a stand-up guy.
Right.
I've been married for 23 years. I know you don't say that kind of stuff. You don't
I don't
do
know
it.
the guy personally, and I think I have a little hate in there for him. That's
Oh
all.
my God.
So,
You can only, I don't know if you could even imagine the hate that I have, you know, for him and his girlfriend.
and we can just only pray that you guys find peace in the whole situation because I know it, and not just for the children, for all of her friends, for all of you guys. I'm sure this is devastating and difficult to move forward from. So we'll just pray
It
for
is
peace
hard.
for you guys.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's strange. You go through stages of emotion. You know, you're sad. You miss your friend. You know, your best friend, your person. You know, and then you feel angry because hasn't been any justice for her. You know, how come certain people are not talking? You know, for her. How come there hasn't been any arrest? You know, and like we thought, okay, we find where she's at, maybe we'll feel something like, okay, she's at peace. Yes, I felt that, but it turned to anger, and it's been a solid anger. You know, just full of emotions of being angry. You know, these last few years.
No doubt.
Absolutely understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, we're gonna do as I mentioned, me and Bobby are right here in Huber Heights, so we're getting together, making some plans. I thought about getting some flyers out and about to get Cheryl's name back in the, you know, consciousness of the locals here. It's gone. It seems forgotten. You know, for far too long. If I have to, you know, we'll contact you know, the news to whoever we need to contact to try and get this back into the public's eye and back in their mind because I mean, you can't just, I mean, it's bad enough he tossed her on the side of the road like a piece of friggin' garbage.
Right.
That's not how the aftermath should be dealt with either. So we're gonna do our best on our side to get it back into public view and get people thinking about this again. And hopefully, if we have to, we'll put some pressure on the prosecutor because we're with them on this. We think that your eyes are on the right guy. Why is it taking so long? Why can't we let this, you know, get taken care of so maybe the family can have some closure knowing that the monster that did this is no longer walking among us? Because I mentioned it earlier, it's not very comforting knowing that somebody can do what they did to Cheryl and still be out here shopping, working, living their best life.
Right, and that's, you know, a great point. You know, that's one thing I was wanting to get across. let the community know there's still a murderer on the loose.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, they're still walking free. You know, it can happen to anybody. You know, they did it
Exactly.
once, they'll do it again. And they'll feel like, especially if they feel like they've gotten away with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, and then
Yeah.
I think you put her name out there doing this podcast, you know, talking about Cheryl. You know, let me talk about Cheryl. You know, about, I mean, anybody that knew her loved her immediately. So, I mean, and an outpouring of support that Cheryl had, you know, before her remains were found. You know, people that didn't know her loved her as well. And like I said, just the family I know, and, you know, and myself really appreciated it.
Well, you were
Absolutely.
very welcome.
Thank you.
It is deserving, and it will get done. Bobby, as you mentioned earlier, we were speaking about it before we let you go, Shelly. I think it goes right, you know, to the point of what you said. You know, her life had value.
It
Mhm.
did.
There is no reason why there should be any kind of stalling. I mean, her life has value, and we need to treat this case as if it does, as
Right.
if we really believe that.
Any mom in your family, you know, if it's your sister or your aunt, you know, your mom, your grandmother, you know, and just the the most valued woman in your family that you have. I think that was Cheryl.
Hmm.
You know, she was just everybody loved her, and for her just be taken away, forgotten about, and you know, just so that person can live his best life.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
I'm
upsetting. And
actually sorry. Go ahead,
oh no,
Bob.
you're fine. I was just gonna say, just calling the prosecutors and constantly letting them know that hey, we're still interested and we're not going away, and that kind of thing really helps.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes,
Let 12 people decide. You know,
yeah,
Absolutely.
just
they got to
And
know that
being a
there's a
mother of
jury pool.
four,
I'm
I'm a
sorry.
mother of four as well, and I can't imagine my children having to wonder what happened, or family members having to wonder what happened, or it being in the opposite side of that, something happening, like you said, to my mother or my grandmother, not knowing, or a best friend. And we just hope that we can get her name out there enough to get you guys some closure, because I can't imagine. And everything that we've heard about her being a mom, I already have a ton of respect for her, and I never got a chance to meet her. She sounds like she was a beautiful mom, a beautiful person,
oh,
and everything you would
wonderful
want in a
mom.
mom. So
Yeah,
that's it. It's wonderful to hear about her, and we truly appreciate you, like, shedding
absolutely,
some positive light on her name. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you.
absolutely.
There was not one negative thing about her. Like I said, in all the 20 something years that we were friends, we've never had a disagreement, argument. It was just nothing but laughter and, you know, just talking to each other about our own problems. And there was no judgment. And it was just, you know, like I always say, she was my person.
She should still be here.
Yes.
Yes.
And we're going to, you know, do everything in our power to take and shed more light on this, bring it out into the light, because local media is not doing it, and maybe they need a phone call from us to get another story. Let's look back. Let's, you know, even them little looking back segments. Anything is better than nothing. Shelly,
And
I want
she's still your person, Shelly. So keep that in mind.
absolutely,
She's still your person, and
Oh,
she's
I
very,
know.
absolutely.
I'm sure she's looking down very proud of you for doing things like this and keeping her name in the light. I'm sure she's beyond proud of how much you care
Well,
for her children.
I
And
know
I'm
Yeah.
that.
sure she still has a ton of love for you, and I'm sure she's still around you.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, she's probably up there laughing her ass off because she knows that I'm a private person and I don't
Mhm,
think like this, but it was only for her that I do
mhm.
this stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
she was
thank
lucky to
you.
have you as
Nobody
a friend.
else, but
Yeah, no,
yeah.
absolutely. You know, if something, you know, like that was to, you know, happen to me, I would certainly hope I have friends like that. And I know I do.
Me too.
I know I do. And she knows that she has you, and I don't think she realizes how much support, uh, you know, and people fighting for this, even though it may not look like it. We're taking on the fight. And
Yeah.
we're gonna do everything that we can to get something to find out, at least find out anything, about what's going on, and talking to people. I think there should be, little rallies celebrating her life, bringing this up. Anything is, again, better than nothing.
And
Good.
and you also to the let the prosecutors, all the investigators know that, hey, everybody in this area knows who did this, so don't go prosecute them. You'll get your jury. There's no doubt in my mind.
Get your jury. I don't
All
know
we need
12
is
people
12
who's
people, and
Mhm.
what can we lose? Because nothing has happened yet.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. If it doesn't work out, we haven't gone back a step. We're right where we're at,
I mean, is it their reputation? That they're trying to keep.
Yeah.
Do they just want things handed to them on a silver platter? Just to make sure it's a clean cut case.
Yeah,
Right.
that
But
we
then
were
yet
actually
you have,
talking about that earlier. Yeah.
I mean, you
Right.
have family and friends that are just sitting here, very upset, very angry, hurt because their loved one, like you said earlier, she was dumped on the side of the road like she was a piece of trash.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
nothing has been done yet.
Yeah.
So
Convictions have come from less circumstantial evidence. So there's
Right.
absolutely more than enough circumstantial evidence, in my opinion, to have a conviction. So
Yeah,
we're
to
looking forward to
at
that
least
for
put a
you.
charge on him. They haven't even charged him with anything. Like, he didn't even do anything.
But they
Well,
came out and told everybody that he's the guy.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
he was home when her Fitbit went to zero, her heart rate went to zero, admitted to
Yeah.
it.
Seems
All right.
obvious to me.
Yeah, it does me as well. Shelly, again, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Sharing your thoughts and opinions about Cheryl, and we'll keep you posted on what we find out, and
Sorry
just
for keeping you late.
oh
Oh,
yeah.
no, it's fine. We're still good on time.
Okay. But yeah, we'll definitely keep you updated on, if we hear any answers, and I mean, hopefully we can, dear. It's a long time coming. It shouldn't last this long.
No,
It's-
and
you-
I
you-
appreciate everything you guys have done.
oh
I
well,
really do. Just keep her name out there to make sure, to let him know and his girlfriend know. We won't forget about Cheryl.
no,
Never.
Yep.
Right on.
and yeah, and we're not backing down.
No.
Right on.
All right.
What's that?
So that was our little talk with Shelly. It was great. I mean, watching it again almost made me tear up a little bit
Yeah.
when
Same.
she got emotional. I mean, it was and this is what needs to be done. Nobody said this was going to be a pain-free journey for justice, because unfortunately, talking with people and them sharing their emotions and their stories of Cheryl will bring about these emotions. And thank you. There was a lot of great comments going on in the chat during the playing of that. So just know I did see it. Just didn't put them up there. It's why I was chatting. I'm not crying. Kelly's crying.
Mm.
I was
Um,
close. She got me.
Yeah.
thank you, Hash Brown, for the for the kind words that you had in the chat. This is something, man. I think little things that I've never been this involved, like boots on the ground type thing, with a case, any case, really, especially one that has to do with a homicide. And so this is a first time for me, but seeing Shelly kind of, you know, break down a little bit, talking about this, the emotions stirring up, that fuels me. That fuels me to go out and do whatever I can. Would
Yeah,
you
that
would you, go ahead, Bobby?
that and the fact that her kids have been missing their mother, I'm sure. You know, the
Yeah.
guy's caused a lot of damage. I'm going to go ahead and say it's this guy. I have no doubt. You know, try to prove
I
it to
don't
me that he
either.
wasn't
I'm
at
not
this point.
ashamed to say it. I'm not ashamed to say it at all. And again, if this ever, you know, possibly could end up, you know, in front of Bill, this show, I want to personally invite you on the show. If you think that this is all wrong speculation and everyone is wrong thinking you're the guy who did it, then come on, tell your side of the story. We'll open the platform up for you, and we'll let you tell your side of the story. We'll all have to play devil's advocate because we have our own opinions, but we'll give you that opportunity. We'll give you the opportunity if you even give a shit about Cheryl. And I personally don't think he does. As I mentioned, he's out there living his best life with his new girlfriend or his new fiance, future wife. It's yeah, I don't believe he would ever have the guts. Which I'm gonna tell you what, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, if I was in my living place, you know, I mean, my own town, my own city, and everybody's pointing a finger at me as a fucking murderer. Don't think I'm not going to stand up and defend myself if
That
I
Yeah,
truly
aside,
did not do it.
yeah.
the
You
couple
want to
points
take the
that she
polygraph test.
I
You want
will,
to,
yeah,
get me off the case and go look at the real person. Anything that you need from me, you're going to get. And if I'm innocent, if you're an innocent person, you always want to prove it to people. You know,
exactly.
only the guilty people try to hide stuff like that. Man, there's no doubt about this. This is insane.
I'd love to know why
Prosecutors
you
need to
didn't
do
even
something.
help pay for her funeral, because that also, I mean, I wish we could get him on here because she made three key points that I was unaware of that I'm thankful she made, and I would give anything to hear his answer to why he didn't help pay anything towards a funeral. My dad passed away, my mom was right on it. You know,
Mhm.
there's no way if you care about someone that you're not involved in funeral planning, paying for that, whatever you can do to make that the easiest process possible. Next is you're selling her clothing before you even know that she's passed away. One, you're profiting from
Yeah.
her again,
What was
and
she
you're
saying? Like
getting rid of her
four
belongings.
months after she went missing,
She wasn't
he's
even
now
found yet.
selling her fucking clothes.
And then the last thing was that insurance policy. That was something I was completely unaware of until
Huge red
talking to
flag.
her a year prior. Why are you getting an extra $100,000 put on her name? It doesn't make sense. And I'm
And
sorry
like
if you
Shelly
gave a
said,
shit
what
about her. That's
he ended up making off with what 360 some $1,000.
yep, yep.
I mean,
Ridiculous.
and he's money hungry, coming right from somebody who's known him since he's been with Cheryl. He's money hungry, and Bobby, motive. How many more
Yeah.
motives do you need?
Yep.
Motive plus the cameras following you all the way back to the house from dropping the damn car off.
Yeah. With people that know him saying, oh, that's definitely his walk. I've been to family functions. I've hung out with this guy. I've known him since he's been with my best friend. I know that walk. That's
Two
him.
two 911 calls came in that neighborhood. At the same time saying, man, some creepy dude's hiding his face from me, wearing all black. And where do they trace him? Right back to the Coker residence.
Yeah.
It's simple as
Where
it can
you're
be.
saying you were the whole time. So where's the mysterious dude that walked into your house if you were there? Because no
Yeah.
one's.
Who
Yeah.
was
I'm
that?
sure as hell not having some random dude in my house without knowing. You know, it
Yeah.
just
Right.
none of that makes sense. None of it.
And
Mhm.
her watch stopped. Does he expect me to believe that the guy entered the house and murdered his wife while he was asleep? I've seen the
Yeah.
house, man. It ain't big enough for that for sure. You don't live
And
in a
you know,
complex.
I'm glad Shelly, you know, caught the episode where we talked about the Fitbit because I didn't know until we talked with Shelly that he bought her the Fitbit, and
Yeah.
that could be a very crucial piece of evidence. Okay, that Fitbit went to 0, which means she ceased to be alive.
Yeah.
And they know where it was. He was at home. Her Fitbit stopped. You know, I mean, there's a connection there. I mean, for me. Hash Brown says, and he took her body out all while he was showering or sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, his neighbor said the complete opposite. Hey, we saw him out that morning messing with the truck. He says he was sleeping. To Bill Coker, man, all you can really say is the law has to play by rules and stuff, but we all know. Everybody that you look at in the face who knows you is going to know, even your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And like Shelly said, no one's forgetting. No one is forgetting. We remember your ass, Bill, and believe me, karma's a bitch, and she is coming for you. And I hope she comes tenfold when she meets your ass, because this is a sad situation.
And
I
really
hate to be so sure, but I just can't see any other way around it in this case.
No, I really don't either. I mean, that little small percentage that maybe it was somebody else, you know, is kind of out the window with me. I mean, there is no other person. I don't understand. My biggest question has to be, why is the prosecution and the state dragging their feet on this? I mean, what are they waiting for? Are they waiting for a fucking confession? That's not going to happen.
Not from a narcissist
He's been
like
inconsistent. That. He's been inconsistent with his stories with the detectives. They already had red flags about that. Okay. You know, and all of these other things. And as you mentioned, Kelly, when we were talking to Shelly, that many cases have been solved with, you know, much less circumstantial evidence.
Especially surrounding insurance money. I mean, that
right there is, I mean, you have motive right there. Why isn't he still being questioned? I've watched all these shows. We all watch all these true crime shows where, you know, they find something like that. Whoa, that's a pretty strong motive. Money is always a motive, especially when there's a divorce involved. There's this, there's that involved, you know, and bam, they're interviewing them all the time. It doesn't seem like anything's getting done. And I often had a question, you know, of does he have any connections with the police department? As Hash Brown mentioned in the comments during the watching the Shelly talk, I always had that question. Is that why they're not pushing this? Does he have some affiliation with the police department? Does he know somebody in a high place? Is he friends with the chief of police? Is he friends with anybody, you know, in positions of power that can keep him out of fucking jail? I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't take much, you know, a little bit of digging to figure that out. I mean, and any kind of, you know, affiliation that he has, or any kind of you know, friends. I don't know. I don't see how he can go to work every day. Costco's a busy place. I know exactly what Costco he works at. If I'm not mistaken, it's the one on Wilmington Pike in Centerville. I used to go there with my old boss. He had a membership there. I'm pretty sure that's the one. But
just crazy to think what a coward he is and how courageous someone like Shelly is. Yeah, she amazed me. Like, her strength really amazed me speaking to her. And then you have this supposed man that is probably one of the biggest cowards I've ever heard of. I mean, the fact that you will not speak on your wife's death, it speaks volumes about the type of person you are.
It really does. On top of past domestic violence, trying to run, you know, your now deceased wife, who you're the prime suspect of, trying to drive her off the road.
Guilty or not, you're a coward. You should be speaking. Guilty or not, you are a coward. Sorry, I don't have a nicer way of putting that.
No, even if you didn't do it, you're a coward for not, you know, standing up, you know, not even paying 1 red cent to your wife's funeral. I mean, what the fuck is that about? Although, but you did cash in on $300 and some thousand from
And
her
her
death.
clothes, down to her clothes, within months of her missing. I just, that one blew my mind too.
It boggles the fucking mind, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. And
Like I said, all I could think of is I know in this area that well over 80% of the cases in this area, they get a plea deal because these prosecutors don't like to take cases to trial. They don't like to do their job.
yeah.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. But it's embarrassing either way to live in an area where you got this kind of case where there's so much even circumstantial evidence. But like I said, circumstances make the case. Plenty of circumstances with all the motive, and they won't do anything about it. So these people got to put up with a murderer walking around on the streets, wondering when's he going to snap.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully that, something is done to where, I mean, because now he's with this new person, as I mentioned in the chat, and Hash Brown, I think, mentioned as well. He's got personality traits that just don't, disappear after you get with somebody else. These
Are people
these are deep
concerned about
rooted.
the safety of his child? If this is the type of person he is and he has so little care about the passing or murder of his child's mother, is his child safe? Is she being kept quiet? Is she being mistreated and sheltered or isolated? Or how manipulated is she at this point? And I'm not trying to speak
Right.
poorly on her. She's a young girl, and I've been in
Sure.
situations where I've been stupid enough to be manipulated. We all do that, and we lose sight of things, especially when you're going through grief periods or confusion of things like that. But why is no one concerned with her safety? Why is no one checking in on her and seeing why she's still with this man? I mean, that to me is scary too.
Yeah, Hash Brown says the girlfriend also has kids. So it's not just his kids. And as Shelly mentioned, she thinks Michaela holds a lot of the some keys to this. But she just won't talk, whether that is because of the trauma or whether she is being told and coerced not to speak on this.
I have no doubt in my mind that
For her dad's sake. I think it could be a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. Because if she wasn't coerced, I can't help but think that maybe she would try to block that out. I mean, your mom's murdered. You kind of don't want to think about that. The mind's a weird thing. Some people could embrace that and try to heal from that. Other people will get, vengeful. They want to find, the killer or who did this to your loved one. And who knows? We're all different. Do I think there's some coercion there from Billy Boy to his daughter? Yes, I do. I think he's keeping her quiet. I think that Michaela maybe knows things that Bill knows she knows. And that's where the coercion is, like, you need to be quiet.
This is the Chris Watts case without the kids being involved.
It
and
really
at least he spared the kids because it was the same deal. I believe what Hash Brown said is right in the comments, that she had found out that he had went on the vacation that morning with his girlfriend. And that set them off into an argument. Just like Shanann Watts, I believe when she came home that night, they had the discussion about him being with Nicole. It's a tale as old as time. This happens all the time.
Yeah.
That's why I said the motive is there. The camera back to his house, man, I'm 100% on this. There's no doubt who did this. Prove me wrong. Kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, guys, Hash Brown said she's very deep into this case. She suggested possibly going to Bill's neighborhood and posting flyers, calling him out in his own neighborhood, and let the police get called, because I got a few questions for them too. So you're saying us taking and spreading the truth, okay, about the case, Let them, let them, the neighbors take and make their own opinions. But if I'm going to put flyers up, to taking and bring light to a case that, nobody, the media isn't doing their job with it. They're not keeping it fresh in the public's mind. That just makes it easier for the prosecution to sweep it under the rug because, hey, nobody's paying attention anyway. So they're
Hell,
just going to forget about it.
I've seen it a bunch of times with child predators. People post flyers. We got a child predator in the neighborhood. He's a predator too.
He really
1000%.
is, yeah,
And he
of
deserves
a
every
different
bit of
of a
that.
different type, but a predator
Yep.
is a predator regardless.
Yep.
So
here in the state of Ohio, they recently put all murderers on that same list.
Oh wow.
So anybody who's committed a felony 1 violent assault or anything has to register, so you automatically know who's around.
That's awesome.
I did not know that, and I live here.
Yeah.
That should be
That's pretty
everywhere.
sick. They did that last year.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting. Well, thank you, Hash Brown, for all your comments. Thank you, CW, Ruby, everyone who joined us today, and everyone who is going to be joining on the replay. Thank you. Please spread this far and wide. That's one way. We do have the world kind of at our fingertips with the internet. So spread it far and wide. And we'll keep you guys updated and on all the different things that we're going to be doing with this. What will we talk about next week? Who knows? Hash Brown said she's down to jump on and talk about this case because she is very invested and has done a lot of research. So that would be interesting. And that would be a fun talk, I think. Well, fun, an informative talk. Maybe fun was the wrong adjective there.
Well, we get some fun out of all conversations, don't we?
Sure, you got to. So not quite sure what we're going to speak about next week, but it very well may be this case again. It very well may be Summer Wells, some interesting videos that you had sent this Kelly to Trill earlier. I started watching them before the show about this Summer Wells case. So who knows what we'll talk about, but you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to be the Trillth.
Yep.
All right, guys. Yeah, a whole lot of speculation. Yeah, enjoy your hump day. Trill crime out.